Okay, this is section 3.4. We're going to be talking about special lines. So let's review y equals mx plus b, the equation of the line. When it's in this slope-intercept form, the y equals, we can easily tell the slope. So y equals 3x plus 1, we can see that the slope m equals 3. Now, sometimes we have to do a little work. That line underneath means they're both divided by 2, so the slope would be that whole thing, negative 3 over 2. Okay, here we would have to get y by itself, subtract 2x and divide by 4, reduce that 2 over 4, so our slope would be negative 1/2. What's special about parallel lines is they have the same slope. That means their slopes are equal. To write the equation of the line, parallel to y equals 3x plus 1 through the point 2, 7. Okay, so parallel means use the same slope, that's 3 of the 3x. Okay, now we don't use the 1. The only thing that's the same are the 3's. Remember, the 1 is the y-intercept. Okay, so we only use the 3. We are going to plug in our x of 2 and y of 7 into y equals mx plus b, solve for b, and put it in y equals mx plus b form. Write the equation of a line parallel to that through that point. Same thing, that's our x, y. This time we have to get our line in y equals mx plus b form. Get that y by itself. Subtract 2x, divide by 6. Reduce 2 over 6 and reduce 8 over 6 because 2 goes into those. Okay, that tells us to use negative 1/3 as our slope. Okay, so same thing, we plug in y, m, and x and solve for b. Okay, solving for b involves getting a common denominator. Okay, so that gives us our b. Go back and plug in m and b only. Okay, remember we only plug in m and b in that last step. Okay, we also have special lines called perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines meet at 90 degrees or right angle. The slopes are called negative reciprocals, and what that means is to find a perpendicular slope, you flip the fraction and change the sign. So let's practice doing that. If we have 4, that's understood 4 over 1. So when we flip, we get negative 1 over 4. Perpendicular to negative 3/5 would be 5/3. We change the sign and flip. And 0 is undefined. Okay, those are horizontal and vertical lines. Write the equation of a line perpendicular to y equals 4x plus 3 through the point 1, 5. Okay, so perpendicular means we're going to take the slope 4, flip it and change its sign, and we get negative 1 over 4. Okay, so we're not doing parallel, we're doing perpendicular. So we flip and change the sign of the slope 4 in the other line. Okay, plug in our x, y, and m. Solve for b. Okay, once again, we have fractions. We're just going to do a little bit of work there. Just make sure this is clear. Okay, and that gives us our equation. We plug in the m of negative 1/4 and the b of 21 over 4. Write the equation of a line perpendicular. Okay, so 3x plus 6y equals 7 needs to be put in y equals mx plus b form. which means we're going to subtract 3x and divide by 6. Okay, so the slope of that line is -1/2. Flip it and change the sign, we get 2. Okay, and our point 2, 3 came from the problem. So we plug in m is 2, 2 is x, 3 is y, solve for b, and we get m is 2 and b is -1, and plug that back in. Okay, parallel lines go the same way. So parallel to x equals 4 through 1, 2 would be another x equals 1 line, and our point is 1, 2. Parallel to y equals 4 through 1, 2, parallel goes the same way. So the same as a y line is another y line. So y would be 2, would be the equation. Now perpendicular means the opposite way. So perpendicular to x equals 4 would be a y line, so y equals 2. Perpendicular to a y line would be an x line, so x equals 1 would be the answer. Okay, determining if things are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. What we first do is, if we're given 3x plus 2y equals 16, we have to rearrange it to be y equals mx plus b. Okay, so in this example, I have -3/2 for one slope, and the other one is 2/3. So they're the opposite sign and flip, so they're perpendicular. Okay, same thing. 3x plus 2y equals 16 needed to get rearranged to the correct form y equals. The other equation already was. So since they both have the slope -3/2, they're parallel. Okay, same question. Get both of them in y equals form. One of them is -3/2. The other one's -3/5. Okay, so they're not the same. They're not parallel. They're not opposite signs and flips, so they're not perpendicular either. So they're neither. Okay, and that is the end of this lesson.